It's early October 2021 in Fayetteville, Arkansas, a small, close-knit community with strong conservative values. This quiet town became the backdrop for a tragic event that changed lives forever. The story focuses on an 18-year-old high school senior whose hopes for a bright future filled with freedom and love were suddenly destroyed by an act of shocking violence. In October 2021, Caleb Hubner, an 18-year-old high school senior, lived in Fayetteville, Arkansas. A gifted pianist, Caleb frequently played hymns during Sunday services at New Light Baptist Church, where his father, Pastor Charlie Hubner, led the congregation. On the surface, Caleb seemed like the perfect son, but beneath that image he was hiding a personal secret. Outside of church and away from the piano, Caleb faced a constant struggle with his identity in a conservative town that didn't leave much space for individuality or acceptance. His secret life started at a youth meeting hosted by the church, where he met Elliot Greene, the 18-year-old stepson of Caleb's stepmother, Renee. Elliot was everything Caleb admired: charming, self-assured, creative, and unafraid to challenge the rules. The two quickly formed a strong bond over their shared passion for music and art. Elliot encouraged Caleb to express his creativity, and their friendship grew closer. Eventually, their connection became more than just friendship. It turned romantic and, eventually, physical. It was a tender yet dangerous exploration of love in a world that condemned such a relationship. They kept their relationship a secret, meeting in private places like Elliot's art studio, tucked away in a shed behind his house, or the quiet trails around Lake Fayetteville. They communicated using burner phones, sharing their hopes of leaving Fayetteville after graduation. Caleb even wrote original piano pieces, which he played only for Elliot. Music that expressed both his desire for freedom and his love for him. But their hidden secret was exposed one night in late September 2021. Caleb's father discovered the two boys together in the church's rectory, a secluded area. Furious, Pastor Charlie angrily confronted Caleb, delivering a harsh sermon that condemned him as sinful. He even threatened to kill him if he ever embarrassed the family again. Caleb was heartbroken. He had always sought his father's approval, but now he feared losing it completely. The intensity of their confrontation led Caleb to pull away from everyone. He stopped responding to Elliot's calls and messages, and his friends began to notice how distant and withdrawn he had become. Despite his fear, Caleb confided in Elliot during one of their final secret meetings that he had a plan to reveal his stepmother Renee's hidden truth to the whole church and leave Fayetteville with Elliot for good. However, Caleb's uncertainty and rising anxiety were evident in his music. On October 2, 2021, just days before his death, he shared a video on TikTok of himself playing a haunting original composition with the caption, "Freedom feels so close, yet so distant." On the morning of October 5, 2021, Caleb Hubner's lifeless body was found in the rectory of New Light Baptist Church in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Jane Carter, the church's longtime secretary, made the grim discovery when she arrived at 8:30 a.m. to get ready for the midweek Bible study. She later described the rectory as unusually quiet that morning, with the normal sounds of activity strangely missing. As Jane entered the rectory, she saw that the door to Pastor Charlie Hubner's office was slightly open. Inside, she found Caleb lying on the floor, his body surrounded by blood, with serious wounds to his head and upper body. A heavy tire iron, usually kept in the church's parking shed for car repairs, was found nearby, bloodstains marking its surface. Horrified, Jane screamed and quickly dialed 911, her voice trembling as she tried to explain what she had discovered. The emergency call was made at 8:37 a.m., and police and paramedics arrived within 10 minutes. Officers from the Fayetteville Police Department, led by First Responder Officer Jason Dean Dane, quickly secured the scene. Dane, a 15-year veteran known for his calm demeanor, later called the scene both gruesome and deeply unsettling. The rectory, once a peaceful space for prayer and counseling, had been transformed into a chilling crime scene. Blood splattered the walls and furniture, and Caleb's body showed clear signs of a violent struggle. Defensive wounds on his hands indicated he had fought to defend himself during the brutal assault. Investigators observed that the rest of the room was untouched, suggesting the attack was targeted and deliberate, rather than a robbery or random act of violence. Still visibly shaken, Jane Carter told officers that she had last seen Caleb alive on Sunday during the church service, where he had played the piano as he always did. She noted that Caleb had seemed quieter than usual, but hadn't thought much of it at the time. Later, a fellow church member escorted her home, her hands trembling as she held her Bible for comfort. By noon, news of Caleb's death had quickly spread throughout the community, with headlines like "Fayetteville Teen Found Dead in Church Rectory," dominating local news outlets such as the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Vigils were soon organized by friends and classmates who remembered Caleb as a kind and gifted young man whose life had been tragically cut short. The Fayetteville Police Department arrived at New Light Baptist Church just 10 minutes after Jane Carter's 911 call. Detective Aaron Matthews, a well-regarded investigator known for his meticulous work, led the team. As soon as they entered the rectory, officers quickly realized that the crime scene indicated a personal and violent attack. The blood-stained walls and the tire iron left at the scene pointed to a crime of passion rather than a random assault. As investigators secured the area, they found Caleb Hubner's phone hidden beneath a chair. Forensic technicians swiftly unlocked it, revealing a series of text messages and photos that offered key insights. The messages exposed a romantic and sexual relationship between Caleb and Elliot Greene, the stepson of Caleb's stepmother. The messages outlined their plans to leave Fayetteville together after graduation, and revealed Caleb's struggles with his father's strict beliefs. One message, sent only 3 days before Caleb's death, read, "He'll rip my throat out if he finds out about us. I'm so scared, baby boy." The phone also revealed a missed 911 call made by Caleb on October 3rd, just 2 days before his murder. The dispatch logs recorded Caleb's frantic voice saying, "My dad, he's going to kill me." The call was suddenly disconnected, and officers who responded to the Hubner home that night reported seeing no obvious signs of danger. Charlie Hubner explained it away as a misunderstanding, insisting that Caleb was just overreacting to a family disagreement. With no clear evidence of abuse, the case was closed. However, these new findings shifted the focus of the investigation. Detectives first thought the murder might be linked to a burglary or a random act of violence. However, the 911 call and the personal text messages revealed a much darker and more personal story. Detective Matthews remarked, "The moment we saw those messages, we knew this was about more than just a family argument or an outsider breaking in." There was clear tension within the family, and the evidence also raised doubts about Elliot Greene's involvement. While the messages showed he was supportive of Caleb, investigators began to question whether their relationship had triggered jealousy or anger in someone else. Elliot became a person of interest, but the 911 call shifted suspicion toward Caleb's father, Pastor Charlie Hubner. The investigators decided to question both Elliot and Charlie, hoping to uncover the truth behind Caleb's death. As the investigation deepened, the people of Fayetteville were shaken by the revelations about Caleb's private life and the unsettling possibility that family conflict had led to murder. Charlie Hubner, 48, was accustomed to control. As the fiery pastor of New Light Baptist Church, he had shaped his life and reputation around rigid biblical teachings. Known for his passionate sermons and authoritative presence, Charlie was a figure who commanded both respect and fear. Finding them in the act reportedly sent Charlie into a furious rage. Witnesses later told investigators that Charlie had confronted Caleb, who was naked at the time, and threatened him with violence if he didn't end the relationship. This revelation provided a clearer understanding of Charlie's emotions in the days leading up to the murder. People close to him, including friends and family, noticed that he had become more irritable, often snapping at church staff and spending more time alone at home. Authorities believed that his anger might have stemmed from a combination of his strong religious views and internal conflicts about his sexuality. As the investigation unfolded, the police found that the rectory was locked when the murder took place. Only a handful of people, including Charlie, had keys to the rectory. This raised important questions about how the crime could have occurred without someone who had access. Forensic evidence showed no signs of forced entry, implying that the killer was likely someone familiar with the church and who had the means to enter. The investigation took a surprising turn when detectives uncovered a digital trail. Charlie had set up a fake profile on a gay dating site using the name Michael 1993. Under this alias, he had tried to deceive Elliot, pretending to be a young man seeking a sexual relationship. Authorities suspected that Charlie's actions were either an attempt to expose Elliot's sexuality or to pressure him into breaking up with Caleb. Investigators traced the account back to Charlie's personal laptop, which was hidden in his church office. When confronted with this evidence, Charlie denied any involvement, claiming the profile was planted to frame him. Charlie's response was defensive, yet surprisingly calm, which contrasted sharply with the angry and volatile behavior witnesses had described. Detectives observed that his composure faltered when questioned about Caleb's relationship with Elliot, which only intensified suspicions of jealousy and anger. These revelations painted a picture of a man torn between his public role as a devout pastor who condemned homosexuality and his personal, hidden struggles with his own feelings. The police now had a possible motive, driven by both shame and anger. Charlie's rigid beliefs, his shock at discovering Caleb and Elliot's relationship, and his own unspoken feelings for Elliot formed a dangerous combination that investigators believed could explain Caleb's tragic death. As they reconstructed the timeline of events, Charlie's potential role in the crime became increasingly difficult to dismiss. However, more evidence was required to solidify their suspicions and resolve the case. Elliot Greene, 18, Caleb Hubner's secret boyfriend, was the first person questioned about the murder. Known by friends for being confident and outspoken, Elliot was quick to deny any involvement. "I love Caleb," he told investigators during his initial interview. "I would never hurt him." Elliot described their relationship as deeply loving, sharing how he and Caleb had planned to leave Fayetteville after graduation to build a life together, away from judgment. Elliot remained calm but emotional throughout the questioning, often breaking down as he recalled memories of his time with Caleb. Despite his apparent distress, the police remained skeptical. Witnesses had seen Elliot arguing with Caleb outside the church 2 days before his death, and given his close connection to the victim, he quickly became a key suspect. The investigation took an unexpected turn when detectives confronted Elliot with evidence of an online affair. Using records from a popular gay dating site, police found that Elliot had been exchanging messages with someone under the username Michael 1993. The conversations began flirtatiously and romantically, but soon turned sexually explicit, leading investigators to question Elliot's loyalty to Caleb. Elliot admitted to participating in the online relationship, but claimed he had no idea who was behind the account. He explained that the messages were a lapse in judgment during a tough time when Caleb had become emotionally distant. As the questioning continued, Elliot shifted his attention to Renee Hubner, Caleb's stepmother, suggesting that she might be involved in the situation. "You're looking at the wrong person," Elliot told the police. "Renee is bleeping evil. She's always been obsessed with Caleb." Elliot's firm denial of any involvement in the murder, along with his shock over Charlie's catfishing scheme, led investigators to reconsider whether his role in Caleb's life was as straightforward as it initially appeared. His accreditations about Renee introduced a new layer of complexity to the case. Police now faced the challenge of weighing the evidence against Elliot while also considering the possibility that someone else in the Hubner household might have been involved in Caleb's tragic death. On October 10, 2021, just 3 days after Caleb Hubner's murder, Fayetteville police uncovered a shocking development that would shift the course of their investigation. A close friend of Caleb's, 17-year-old Mia Torres, came forward with a crucial piece of evidence, a handwritten letter Caleb had entrusted to her for safekeeping. Mia explained that Caleb had asked her to keep the letter just in case something happened to him. Written on plain, lined notebook paper, the letter revealed Caleb's increasing fear of his father, Charlie Hubner. It also accused his stepmother, Renee Hubner, of embezzling funds from the church's donation accounts. Caleb described how he had uncovered financial discrepancies while helping with the church's bookkeeping. He claimed that Renee had been siphoning money for months to cover personal expenses, such as luxury handbags and pricey meals at high-end chain restaurants like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Perhaps most unsettlingly, Caleb expressed his fear of what would happen if his father found out about his secret sexual relationship with Elliot Greene. "If Dad finds out about me and Elliot, I don't think I'll make it out alive," Caleb wrote. Detectives quickly began to verify Caleb's claims. A forensic accountant examined the church's financial records and confirmed that large sums of money were missing, validating Caleb's accusations against Renee. This discovery gave police a new motive to investigate. Was Renee trying to silence Caleb to protect herself from being exposed? The latter also strengthened the theory that Charlie's knowledge of Caleb's sexuality may have played a role in the murder. Caleb's words about fearing for his life cast a darker shadow over Charlie, suggesting he could have been involved in a more sinister way. Investigators now faced the challenge of determining whether Charlie had killed Caleb in a fit of rage or if Renee had orchestrated the events to shift the blame. This new revelation dramatically changed the direction of the investigation. Police re-interviewed both Renee and Charlie, questioning them separately about the letter's contents and pressing them for answers. Renee dismissed the accusations as outrageous lies, insisting that Caleb was trying to turn his father against her. Charlie's response was more reserved. He neither confirmed nor denied the letter's claims, but his demeanor became noticeably tense, suggesting the pressure of the situation was affecting him. This new evidence cast doubt on both Charlie and Renee. With each blaming the other, investigators were compelled to dig deeper into their motives, relationships, and hidden secrets. The twist revealed a complex web of lies, greed, and betrayal that now appeared to be at the core of Caleb's tragic death. By mid-October 2021, police shifted their attention to Renee Hubner after uncovering Caleb's letter accusing her of embezzling church funds. Confronting her, detectives presented evidence of financial irregularities, including bank transfers and receipts that matched Caleb's claims. They revealed that large sums of money intended for church renovations and charitable work had been redirected into personal accounts and spent on luxury items, such as designer handbags and spa treatments at upscale locations like the Ritz-Carlton in Charlotte, North Carolina. At first, Renee denied everything, dismissing the accusations as a desperate attempt to ruin her reputation. However, as detectives presented her with records and testimonies from church staff, her confidence began to falter, and the pressure started to show. Eventually, Renee admitted to taking the money, but claimed it was only a temporary solution, blaming the financial difficulties she faced after marrying Pastor Charlie. As the interrogation continued, the atmosphere shifted. When detectives pressed her about her relationship with Caleb, her tone became emotional, revealing the strain of the situation. Breaking into tears, Renee confessed that she had developed feelings for Caleb. "It was so damn hard," she said, her voice trembling. "I loved him. Not like his son. I married Charlie because I thought it would bring me closer to Caleb," Renee admitted, her voice shaky. "I thought I could be around him and get into his pants." The detectives were stunned by her admission. Renee's admission cast her actions in a disturbing new light. She explained that her infatuation with Caleb began when they first met at a church event 2 years earlier. Caleb, only 16 at the time, had been volunteering in the church's youth ministry. Renee, newly divorced and working as a secretary, confessed that she was drawn to Caleb's hot body and beautiful spirit. She admitted that her marriage to Charlie had been more of a strategy than a real partnership. "I never loved Charlie," she confessed. "He was just a way to get to Caleb," Renee admitted. She revealed that her sexual feelings for Caleb had deepened over time, though they were never returned. According to Renee, Caleb treated her with politeness but remained distant, completely unaware of her true intentions. When detectives asked if her unreturned feelings had driven her to harm Caleb, Renee vehemently denied it. "I would never hurt him," she insisted. However, her confession only raised more questions than answers, leaving detectives with more doubts about her involvement. Did Renee's jealousy of Caleb's relationship with Elliot Greene play a role in his death? Could her embezzlement, fueled by her obsession, have pushed her to act out of desperation? This bombshell confession complicated the investigation. Police now had to consider the possibility that Renee's twisted love for Caleb, combined with rejection and the fear of exposure, might have driven her to silence him forever. The revelation also cast Charlie's behavior in a new light, as detectives began to wonder if he had suspected Renee's feelings and acted out of rage or jealousy himself. The discovery painted a picture of a family consumed by secrets, betrayal, and unrequited love, all converging in a tragedy that shook the Fayetteville community. As investigators pieced together the events leading to Caleb Hubner's death, they uncovered a chilling tale of rage, fear, and calculated deception. Pastor Charlie Hubner, already struggling with his troubled marriage, financial scandals, and hidden sexual feelings for Elliot Greene, found himself pushed to the brink on the night of October 12, 2021. It wasn't long before Renee discovered the scene. Realizing that Charlie's crime could unravel both of their darkest secrets, she quickly sprang into action, determined to protect herself. Renee proposed planting subtle evidence to divert suspicion away from their family, hoping to shift the focus onto others and shield them both from the consequences of their actions. Renee targeted Elliot Greene, knowing his relationship with Caleb was already under scrutiny. She took Caleb's phone and sent a series of messages to Elliot, fabricating the appearance of an argument between them. Additionally, she smeared a small amount of Caleb's blood inside Elliot's locker at the church, hoping to plant evidence that would tie him to the murder and divert suspicion away from herself and Charlie. To further mislead investigators, Renee hid the candlestick in a closet behind a stack of hymnals, hoping to delay its discovery. However, police were already suspicious of Charlie. The locked rectory, along with other inconsistencies in their story, was a key clue that pointed to their involvement. Only a handful of people had access to the locked rectory, and Charlie was at the top of the list. As detectives dug deeper, they uncovered inconsistencies in Charlie's alibi and signs of his growing animosity toward Caleb. Witnesses reported seeing Charlie and Caleb arguing in the days leading up to the murder, and phone records contradicted Charlie's statements about his whereabouts on the night of the killing. Faced with mounting evidence, Charlie was arrested on October 18, 2021. The once respected pastor was visibly shaken, his head bowed in defeat as officers led him away. Sources close to the investigation described Charlie as despondent, overwhelmed by the realization that his actions had not only taken a life, but also destroyed his family and reputation. The community was left in shock as the truth emerged, unraveling the facade of a devout household shattered by secrets, betrayal, and tragedy. When Charlie Hubner stood trial in March 2022 for the murder of his stepson Caleb Hubner, his defense team leaned heavily on his reputation as a respected pastor and devoted Christian, attempting to paint him as a man who had been pushed beyond his limits. Throughout the proceedings, Charlie's lead attorney, Jonathan Blake, portrayed him as a man of faith and integrity who had been wrongfully accused. The defense argued that Charlie's years of service to his community, his strong moral character, and his position as a spiritual leader made it implausible for him to commit such a violent act. Blake emphasized Charlie's spotless record, highlighting his charity work and the deep love he had garnered from his congregation at New Light Baptist Church, hoping to sway the jury with his reputation as a beloved community figure. Witnesses from the church testified about Charlie's sermons, which often focused on forgiveness and compassion. "He's a man who has spent his life helping others," Blake told the jury during his closing arguments. "How could someone like Pastor Hubner be capable of this horror?" In contrast, the prosecution, led by Assistant District Attorney Teresa Caldwell, presented a mountain of evidence pointing to Charlie's guilt. This included the candlestick murder weapon hidden in the church, phone records that contradicted Charlie's alibi, and testimony about his strained relationship with Caleb. The prosecution argued that these facts painted a clear picture of guilt, despite the defense's attempt to frame Charlie as a man of integrity. Caldwell argued that Charlie's anger, combined with the fear of his secrets being exposed, drove him to commit the crime. She presented several witnesses who testified to Charlie's growing hostility toward Caleb and his erratic behavior in the weeks leading up to the murder. Despite the prosecution's compelling case, Charlie's defense successfully created doubt in the minds of the jurors. They questioned the reliability of some of the evidence and portrayed the relationship between Charlie and Caleb as more complicated than it appeared, leaving room for the possibility of alternative explanations. Blake suggested that the evidence could have been planted to frame Charlie, possibly by Elliot Greene or someone else with a motive to harm Caleb. He painted the case as a tragic misunderstanding, urging the jury to remember the good Charlie had done throughout his life, including his years of service to the community and his role as a spiritual leader. On March 18, 2022, after 3 days of deliberation, the jury returned a shocking verdict: not guilty on all counts. The verdict echoed through the courtroom as Charlie, visibly emotional, embraced his attorney. Guests filled the room, some in tears, as the outcome unfolded. Outside the courthouse, supporters from his congregation cheered, holding signs that read, "Justice for Pastor Hubner." The verdict left Caleb's friends and family stunned, many outraged, calling the trial a miscarriage of justice. The community was torn, with some believing in Charlie's innocence, while others felt that the truth had been buried by legal maneuvering and a flawed defense. Charlie walked free, but his reputation remained tarnished among those who believed in his guilt. The case sparked widespread debate, with media outlets dissecting the jury's decision and its implications for faith-based character defenses in criminal trials. Many questioned whether Charlie's position as a respected pastor had swayed the outcome. In the months following his acquittal, Pastor Charlie Hubner's life took a dramatic turn. While some in his congregation continued to support him, others distanced themselves, unable to reconcile the man they once admired with the dark cloud that now hung over his name. While Charlie regained his position at the church, his personal life was unraveling. His marriage to Renee Hubner, already strained by the events surrounding Caleb's death, ultimately fell apart. The church and the community were divided, with many questioning Renee's role in the family's tragic downfall. After a lengthy investigation, Renee was convicted of embezzling funds from the church, having taken hundreds of thousands of dollars over several years. Her conviction further tarnished the reputation of the Hubner family, adding another layer of scandal to an already fractured legacy. The court sentenced Renee to 8 years in prison. Her conviction was another blow to Charlie's public image, further tarnishing the reputation of the once respected pastor. The damage to Charlie's standing was not only due to the unresolved suspicions surrounding Caleb's murder, but also because of his wife's financial crimes, which had been carried out under his roof. The combination of scandal, betrayal, and criminal activity left Charlie struggling to regain any semblance of respect within both his community and his congregation. After Renee's conviction, the couple divorced, with Charlie retaining full custody of their children. The divorce was finalized in early 2022, and Renee was sent off to a federal facility to serve her sentence. In the aftermath, Charlie found solace in an unexpected relationship with Elliot Greene, Caleb's former lover. The two, bound by a shared history of pain and loss, slowly began to rebuild their lives together. While the relationship sparked its own controversy, particularly in the community that once saw Charlie as a moral leader, it marked a new chapter in Charlie's life as he tried to find redemption amidst the wreckage of his past. The two men, who had spent months under suspicion during the investigation, grew close after the trial. Although Elliot had been accused of framing Charlie, the jury had ultimately cleared him of any involvement in Caleb's death. Despite the turmoil and public scrutiny they had both faced, Charlie and Elliot found comfort in each other's company. Their bond deepened over time, and within a year of the trial, the two men decided to marry. Their relationship, once unimaginable to many in their community, was a testament to the complexities of their lives and the healing they sought after years of scandal and tragedy. In March of 2023, Charlie and Elliot exchanged vows in a private ceremony in Malibu, California. The couple received significant media attention as the story of a pastor exonerated of murder marrying his stepson's former lover captivated the public. Despite the controversy and scandal that had surrounded their lives, Charlie and Elliot appeared to find solace and peace together. Their union, though met with mixed reactions, marked a new chapter in their lives, one where they sought healing and a sense of normalcy after years of turmoil and public scrutiny. Shortly after their wedding, Charlie and Elliot adopted a child. The 6-year-old girl, named Lily, had become a ward of the state after her biological parents were incarcerated for drug offenses. The adoption process was surprisingly swift, and the couple quickly settled into their new role as parents. Their decision to adopt marked a fresh beginning for Charlie and Elliot as they sought to build a stable and loving family after the upheavals of their past. The couple's newfound happiness and commitment to raising Lily helped them move forward, leaving the shadows of their previous lives behind. Friends and family described the couple as doting fathers, with Elliot working from home as a freelance writer, while Charlie scaled back his duties at New Light Baptist Church to spend more time with their daughter. The once divisive pastor and his husband seemed to have moved beyond the scandals and heartbreaks of their past. Despite ongoing public scrutiny, they found a sense of normalcy and peace. Although the shadow of Caleb's tragic death would always linger, Charlie and Elliot worked to put the painful chapter behind them, looking forward to the future they were building together.